Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Juju Show, episode 29. We've got some goodies to show off today, but we have a full house of guests today. Let's go around. Adrian, you are the furthest to the left for everyone but yourself. How are you doing? What's going on? Uh-oh. Did Adrian freeze? Oh, man. Technical. Gotta love Hangouts. All right. Next up, BD. James, how you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. How's it going, guys?
Ooh. Kevin, it looks cold. I thought you were like down south and stuff. Don't you wear like Tommy Bahama shirts and stuff all the time? What's this beanie thing?
I am down south, but it is cold. I hate it.
And we've got Yosef here, who was just chat with an IRC. Are you here, Yosef? Or
yes, I am. I thought that the previous part was the show. I didn't realize this is where the show starts.
This is where it starts. This is where the stuff's happening. That's why there's two links. There's one if you just want to spectate and watch us from afar. This is the I like to be a part of the action link.
Okay, cool.
You have clicked the right link. You want to be part of the action. That's all I'm saying.
Action sounds great.
All right, and Corey, welcome. How you doing, sir? Long time no see. You were muted.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry, I couldn't find my mute.
Awesome. All right, I have a request. I messed up last week, and somehow I clicked on someone's head or whatever, and it didn't switch to who was talking. So if anyone sees that, can you virtually smack Rick in the head to unclick something? Because I hate it when I do that, and I feel like the controls here could use some improvement. But anyway, so let's get started. Let's have some fun. Juju Show this week. What do we got? So number one, I wanted to highlight a few new promulgated charms that hit the mailing list and thus hit the charm store. There are now promulgated charms for Grafana, the prometheus-openstack-exporter, which is a charm to help dump data of your OpenStack out to Grafana, to Prometheus, which then goes to Grafana for your lovely OpenStack graphs of things, and a Ceph-exporter, which obviously the same thing. It's going to export Ceph data out to Prometheus for monitoring and tracking your Ceph. You know, KPIs, metrics, measure, all the rage. So we got some new charms to help go do that. So go grab those, try them out, provide feedback, join the community, file bugs on the charms, all that. Have fun. Have you guys used these? I know I'm a fanboy of Grafana, I have to say.
Yeah, there was quite a bit of motion around sort of things that are related to Grafana. So Telegraph got some updates. Elasticsearch, I know, got some updates, especially if you were trying to install Elasticsearch on Trusty. That is at least usable now. And I know our good buddy BDX has been doing a lot of stuff at OmniVector to have layered Elasticsearch charms. So that whole sort of monitoring stack has got quite a bit of focus now. It's really good to see.
Awesome stuff. Next up, I have a call to action. There was a user that hit the mailing list up asking about the OAI running it on Juju, which is an open air interface, which is basically a software stack for running like a 4G network, it looked like when I was poking at the documentation stuff on it. Now, the docs that the guy's going off of is a little old. The to-do on there says to try it with Juju 2, which means it's about a year old, if not, well, probably about a year and a half at this point. But unfortunately, basically, I know there's some folks who check out the show and the mailing lists that are involved in some of the SDN, the Open Mano, all that kind of stuff, the telecom space. And so I wanted to kind of highlight this person could use some help. I'm not sure exactly what's going wrong, but if you've ever played with this stuff, it would be good to kind of reach out, join your, find your people and work with your people to help make stuff kind of more awesome. I'd love to see the user get some help and figure out what's going on. And I thought that was kind of cool. You don't think about it as, but yeah, in the SDN world and the telco space, hey, you could throw up a 4G network with a couple pieces of hardware and basically servers. It's kind of crazy to think about, to be honest. And then next up, Yosef here actually was hitting me up in IRC and then jumped out and then came back, as Kevin predicted, with a problem saying, hey, I've got this manual cloud, a manual deployment of Juju, where I manually add machines. And because of that, Juju bundle deployment hates it because it wants the bundles to be reusable and not, require machine setup in certain ways with certain numbers and all that. So, but I can't use it because when you use the manual provider, every machine is pre-provisioned. There's no such thing as provisioning new machines. So I was very happy to go, you know what? That's true. And we fixed that. And there is in 2.3, there is the new flag for deploying bundles called --map-machines. And I'll have a link to the docs in the show notes here, but basically there's a section of the docs where it talks about recycling machines, or in this case, using your manually provisioned ones. And it actually unfoobars bundles on a manual provider situation. So if you've been using the manual provider to get around, let's say it's not a cloud, it's just your 5, servers, that old Dells you've got stuck in your basement that you haven't thrown out yet, or if it's a provider we don't support, make sure to hit us up and go, hey, you don't work on this platform, we probably should look at adding it, or whatever the case may be. Bundles can now be your friend too. You don't have to be bundle rejected. So consider that kind of the tip of the day to go try out. So I'm going to go send Yosef off and go make sure it all works and that he's happy.
Yeah, I'll try it out. Thanks a lot for the tip.
No problem. And
hey, Rick, you should note that's a flag name change too. It used to be use existing, maybe.
So that's it was at one point use existing, and then I think there was some bike shedding of the term, and it moved to map machines. And so I know I first searched the docs for use existing and didn't find it, and went, oh no, I know it's there, and then found that it is the --map-machines. So it's in the help or in the docs or in IRC. How do you use this thing? So that's kind of cool. Before we go to our main topic, did anyone want to come in and talk about anything in particular they're hacking or working on?
I had some stuff I wanted to talk about, if that's all right.
By all means.
So I've been working on Kandra, and I don't think these changes have made it quite into stable yet, but it's definitely in candidate. But we've been working on some significant usability improvements for Kandra. One of the things that has long annoyed me is the keyboard navigation. The keys that you can use on each individual page has been somewhat inconsistent. So sometimes tab would do one thing, enter, might do something different on one page versus another. So we spent some effort going through and kind of just cleaning that up and making it a lot more consistent. And you can now also hit the question mark or H key to bring up a informational dialog that tells you exactly what the different keys will do in the general case. So you can have a lot more visibility and consistency in how you can interact with Kandra. Another thing that had annoyed people, including myself, was that if you had screens that had a lot of content on them, and your terminal window was not big enough to show all of it, sometimes it was often not clear that there was more content to be had, and if it was clear, it wasn't all clear how you make that content visible. So we added automatic scroll bar type UI indicators on the right hand side. So if there's additional content, you'll see something that looks like a scroll bar up here on the right side to show you roughly how much content there is. And with the keyboard standardization, you should be able to use the up and down arrow keys to scroll that content so that you can actually ensure that you view all of it. So I think that those two things together make a pretty significant improvement to the usability of Kandra.
Sweet.
Yeah. Something else that a few people, Kevin in particular, asked for, if you hit the Q key to it will quit out of Kandra. That's been there for a while, but before it would just quit out, and you might not know what happened if you accidentally typed it. Now there's a dialog to ask to confirm to make sure that's actually what you wanted to do. So.
Is that the Hawaii alert code thing? Are you sure you want to destroy everything you've been doing right now? Gotcha.
And then on just changing topics a little bit, one other thing I wanted to talk about in Reactive, when you're creating reactive charms, a pain point for some time has been the complexity of interface layers. And I believe I've talked about this on a previous Juju show, and It's been released for a little bit now, but there's a new base class to use for writing interface layers called endpoints. And that I think the patterns that we came up with there are a lot simpler, and they match a lot better with how relations actually work with Juju. We still have to improve some documentation and write some tutorials about that, but the basic pattern is there, and there's some example charms or example interface layers, but nothing in production right now. But something that I'm currently working on is improving how departing and breaking units or relations are handled, and that's something that's been very bug prone in the current interface layer implementation. And I think what we've come up with is really clean. And there's a PR that's so 0.6.1 should hopefully land thinking this week that will have those improvements, and then we just need to get some tutorial and better documentation out about exactly how to use this. But I think the pattern is a lot better, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about it.
So that's cool. So in case you're not aware, so the Reactive Framework is think of it like your charming SDK. And so it sounds like there's some great improvements to some of the underlying libraries there for the interfaces are the parts of your charming code you've got to do to help handle communication or working together across relations with the charms. One of the great things of Juju is how you wire things up and then they react and behave appropriately without a bunch of manual intervention. That's all thanks to awesome charm authors who write these interface code here to help make sure that things respond and update appropriately when they are wired up to different things. So that's cool. SDK improvements are always plus. One thing I wanted to show, this is kind of a call for people that want to be guinea pigs. Last week on the show, we talked about this Juju shell that you could deploy into your own controllers and have it in the GUI so that you can, list your models or whatever kind of CLI stuff you may want to do. What's interesting in this case is notice that this is running on Jazz on jujucharmers.com. This is behind a feature flag. So for users, as we work out scale and everything. But if you're interested in playing with the Juju shell in Jazz with your models that you run and manage there, do me a favor, reach out to me either on the Juju mailing list, Rick_H&IRC, or Twitter, or just find me and hit me over the head. And I'm happy to add people to help test this out. If you're doing any upcoming demos or anything of Juju, to a customer or a boss or whatnot, this helps make demos really nice because you don't have to switch between windows of things and can do it all in one and all that. So let me know. We're eager to add in at a nice rate additional users to help try it out. Cool. This is the mute. I got the mute patrol here. All right. So topic of the day. Topic of the day is actually something kind of cool. So how many of you all have ever had a controller and then realized something didn't work and you went, oh, it's running an older version of Juju. Dope. I can't use that cool new feature because I haven't upgraded this. Or how many of you have upgraded or thought you upgraded? The controller is running the new version. Sweet. Yay. And then you went to a model that wasn't upgraded yet. And, oh, it didn't work like I was expecting. On the one hand, it's one of the nice things about Juju is that it's separated. You can use if you have something, you can progressively, you don't have to upgrade everything all in one blast and all that. But it can lead to some fun management of that. So our teams internally, these are kind of our ops folks, our IS folks. They have written this tool called Juju Upgrader. And as you can see, it's a Python package. It's not packaged up in any way yet. I'm just trying to drum up folks who are interested in this problem to help work with, submit bugs, patches, try it out. But if you look here, I've got a controller here, and this is the Juju Show controller, and it's running version 2.2.9 of Juju. I don't like this one. I can't use map machines with this version of Juju. Yosef will be very disappointed when he goes to try to get his crap done. So I've got a later version of Juju. I have the client 2.3. I had to build my own old Juju. So I had a Juju.0 that's the 2.2.9 here. So this is a problem. So how do I manage this? All right, I'm going to run Juju Upgrader. And it's
Actually,
going to,
I was going to mention that I have this exact same problem. It's not just a theoretical problem.
there you go. See, so I run Juju Upgrader, and what it does is it looks through and goes, okay, here's the client that you have, the controller, the version of it. Tell me about it. How is the health? Is it okay? Is it a position where upgrading is a safe and okay thing to do? There's no problems in the models. And then it gives you some stats, how many applications, machines, everything I have running. So I've created a bunch of dummy models and deployed some dummy stuff into it and everything so that I can kind of demonstrate this. So what's cool now, like, okay, everything looks fine. You know what? Let's upgrade the controller. So now what it's going to go through and do is it's going to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Are you sure? I'm going to, I'm going to update it from 2.2.9 to 2.3.2, how is this? And I go, yes, sir. This is fine. Go ahead and do this. Now it's going to go through and it's going to dry run. It's going to create a backup of the controller. I did this last time. I filed this bug earlier. It tries to back up, run Juju backup, but that only works from the controller model. You can't back up the controller if you're not the controller. So hopefully I filed that bug today. We'll get that squared away. So yes, I'm sure. I want 2.3.2. I want new awesome sauce. And it's going to create a backup, and it's going to download it. And this is all on my machines. I'm most hopeful it would be fast for lovely demo purposes.
What's in the backup?
The backup is, so if Juju in the controller has a database where it stores what is the current, like what state, what charms, what's the history, the log history, the event history and stuff that it tracks. It tars up basically that database and downloads it. So if your controller were to ever go boom, boom, in theory, you can grab new controllers or restore the database itself and be okay.
Does it include stuff like in .local share Juju, like the credentials?
No, this is just the controller itself backup, not my client stuff.
Oh, right. Okay. Makes sense.
Something that is on my hit list forever is backing up and syncing your client stuff. And this went a lot faster before when I tried it. Okay, here we go. So now it's actually running the upgrade step, and it's cool. It goes step by step, what command it's running, which is really sweet. So you can kind of get an idea. Oh, check this out. The controller's now 2.3.2. And then we wait and have dead air. Dope. Anyways, what's cool is this has got a lot of options. You can upgrade the controller and the models all together. You can do, as I'm doing right now, just the controller. Now, obviously, models can't be a newer version than the controller because that's where all the API servers are. And so you can't issue an API to Juju without the controller supporting it, And then it also supports things like partial upgrades, where you can say, go ahead and upgrade, but only upgrade 10%, 20%, 50% of the models so that you can scatter out and spread out the potential work of doing those upgrades. You don't end up, running this upgrade script that now runs for the next 3 days across your 750 whatever models that you have or whatnot, right? And so you can do it in nice chunks. So it's got some nice options to it. Now it's checking my status here. And I swear this one. Okay, here we go. So then it gives me a little report at the end. And I have a heading, but no data. But here you can see I successfully upgraded from 2.2.9 to 2.3.2. Now I could deploy my bundle with the fancy flag. So notice here, I still have 11 models. I have 4 machines on to 2.2.9. So I still have stuff on 2.2.9. So to do that, rather than upgrade controller, I'm going to upgrade models. This will run a lot faster now that the controller already supports it. There's agents and stuff already downloaded. It's just going to go through and crank through. And again, you can see it's telling you the commands it's running and then how many models I'm doing. It's got a little like 10-second delay between each upgrade run from model to model. But anyway, this is just kind of a really useful tool. It's new. Like I said, it's not, packaged up and stuff. You got to go to the Launchpad page. It's under the Juju-Upgrader project in Launchpad. But you can play with it. It's useful. This is their standard way of doing our controller upgrades in our internal infrastructure. right now. And there's some cool stuff you can see doing with this. It does it per controller. You can obviously see like you want to loop this through your controllers and everything. So let's see. 3. So notice, see, it says 3 remaining models because it only did a percentage by default. So it did not upgrade these models. It only did these. So if I have to run it, actually, let's do this. So if I run just Juju Upgrader and get all my info, I mean, some of them are on 2.3.2 and some of them are on 2.2.9. Yeah, so I made sure to create 10 models plus the default one so that it would do a percentage, and you'd see some of them got upgraded, these 8, and then it stopped. If I just rerun the command again, it'll pick up any that were missing and finish the job.
Where does it indicate that it was a partial upgrade? Because I don't think it's something that would immediately be apparent.
Yeah, so this is where I'm not sure if this is right now. The default is to do a certain percentage of the models. It's just hard. That's like the default value, and you can change it. So if let's go grab the help here because it tells me what the options are, and I'm not an expert yet. So here you have this percent option. So by default, it says the maximum number of models requiring upgrades. It says default of 15. Obviously, it did 8 out of 11, so I don't know how that got to be 15%. But
Juju math.
Hey, all right. Anyway, so anyway, cool tool. It solves a problem that I know I've had when you're trying to upgrade things, especially when you've got models at scale. You don't always want to upgrade all of them. You can specify models individually. So I know when you run upgrade models, you can actually specify the names of the models, I believe. You can, let's see, the health stuff. It's got some things in here around if things are not healthy, it'll has scripts to go in and do things like restart the agents and such in case they're in a down or not. Obviously, so the agent is a chunk of code running on each machine talking to the Juju API server, the controller. And so if that's down and you say upgrade, well, the job of upgrading is to get the newer version of the agents and start those daemons on all the machines. So if it's down and not responding, it's not going to upgrade. You're going to end up in a partial upgrade bad place. And so the fact that this takes that into account and provide some structure around it, I think is really cool. So I encourage folks to go try it out, provide feedback to the team that's working on it, file bugs, file some, have some patches. It's awesome stuff. Operating Juju, operating all the rest of your infrastructure.
That's great, Rick. Thanks for demoing that.
Cool beans. Anything else before we go? Slam, bam, demo, sir. We're done.
Hey, Rick. Somebody on the channel, Pound Juju, asked about building older versions of Juju. They noticed you had a Juju old, so maybe for next time we queue up, how would you build an older version? How would you get an older version if you needed it of the client?
I tell you what, I was going to cheat. I thought for sure I had a cheat because we have in Launchpad project on Juju, you've got the downloads. And I thought the downloads had built Go binaries that I could cheat because Go binaries are pretty portable, right? Once they're compiled, you can copy them around and they're pretty self-contained because they have all their dependencies and stuff. Like the way Go runs, I think is baked in. It doesn't use a lot of the system stuff. It's my understanding. Someone that does Go better, correct me and tell me how wrong I am. Anyway, except that the binaries weren't in the download, just the tarball. But I had a whole tarball and an untarred in the whole Go path directory structure. So from there, I had to install Golang, and then I had to go to the right directory and run make go install or install-go. I forget which command, and then wait a while, and then I had it. So it's like 4 commands, but they're magic. They're like 4 magic commands you have to know. So that's probably definitely worth at least a micro blog post or something if you need. But if you need it today or in the near future, feel free to ping me on it. I'm happy to copy and paste my shell history from my demo here and show you what I did. The magic 4 commands I had to find. Otherwise, there's got to be another way. But honestly, I've moved to snaps, and because snaps are forward rolling, I've lost my ability. I used to go get the debs or something older when I needed an older version, but that's not true anymore. So I don't know. It is a little bit of a fun process. Build from source. It's the one true way, right?
So actually, if you want to build an older version of Juju, you can just install the Juju from the repository, point and add your Go path directory. And I think that with 2.0 versions and prior, there's a make file with instructions on how to build your own Juju binaries.
Cool.
So I can make a small post or write a little bit of documentation about that.
Ooh, I love it. People volunteer to write blog posts instead of me. And this is like recorded on camera, so you can't get out of it now.
Actually, I have a question about this. Wouldn't an easy way of building a specific version of Juju to be to take the Snapcraft for Juju and just modify the snapcraft.yaml and point it to the specific point in the code and then just say Snapcraft?
I'm not that versed with Snap packages yet. That's something that I have on the pending list.
Yeah, just the advantage of that would be the only thing that you need to install or manage is Snapcraft, and it would kind of manage all the dependencies in the tool chain to make sure that you had everything that you needed to do the build.
Oh, and look at that. So my thing, and I hadn't really thought about that, but my first instinct was, well, but isn't the Snap build stuff like somewhere else where the people that make the binaries? But you know what? It's not. It's in the Juju code project in a Snap directory, and in that Snap directory is a snapcraft.yaml, and it points at nothing jumps out as like change this line. I guess there's a options. You can grab a specific tag, commit, or branch by uncommenting in the YAML these few lines, 3 lines it looks like, to tell it what to grab. And you may only need one of those lines.
Yeah, you need one of those lines. So you could just say uncomment the source tag.
Yeah. Put the version number you want in there, and then run what is it? Snap.
Just Snapcraft.
Snapcraft. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there you go. That definitely sounds easier. That works out. I'll have to try that. Cool. Thanks, Corey. Mastermind. All right, let's get out of here. This is supposed to be a short show. Everyone, I will see you all in 2 weeks. Until then, have fun. Get your Juju on. Bye.
Later.
Bye.